More than 30 years ago, Yo MTV Raps introduced the record-scratching lyrical vocals from the streets to millions around the world. The groundbreaking program, co-hosted by Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, opened doors for hip-hop artists and brought the music into mainstream American culture. Joining us today to talk about his career and his life-altering struggle with diabetes, Long Island native Dr. Dre Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. To meet you. I love those glasses too.
It's so nice to meet you because I watch you enough on TV. So it's a blessing for me right here.
Yeah. So we're have this mutual admiration society.
Absolutely.
So, just when you think about how important what you guys were doing on Yo MTV Raps was to hip hop, that has now just become this force. Just how does that make you feel that you guys were really at the forefront of informing and educating people about this art form?
Well, the great thing about the blessing is I grew up in Long Island in Newcastle, Westbury, and I was a street DJ, and milling our way through this, we never thought that this could really become what it has. So when the opportunities came and I was tapped for the host position of Yo MTV Raps today, there had already been a couple of, there was a pilot with Run DMC at the Nassau Coliseum, and then Fab Five Freddy actually was the first host of the weekend show. So I was lucky to be tapped because I knew the executive producer, Peter Daugherty, and he met me while I was DJing at a loft party downtown. And he said, have you seen Yo MTV Raps? I said, yeah, I kind of saw that. And matter of fact, I was in the first pilot episode. He said, really? I said, yeah, I was introducing Public Enemy on the stage, and you were shooting the segment. So I was at home watching this going, hey, wait a minute, Mom, I'm on TV.
And then you ended up being the host.
Ended up being a host. Lover. And I got a chance to meet someone who's now become a lifelong partner, Mr. Ed Lover. And we actually met at the audition.
And really, besides your knowledge of the art form, the chemistry between the two of you, really a big reason behind the success of the show.
Yeah, it really was, because that initial meeting was, how should we say, clandestine in its own special way, because I knew Peter because I used to DJ for the Beastie Boys, and I was out on a Raising Hell tour with Run DMC, and my group happened to write a song on that album called Proud to Be Black. My group was called Original Concept. We were signed to Def Jam. So when Peter called me in, we were talking and joking about it. He said, yeah, well, what do you think you can do? And I said, yeah, I could do some, produce some comedy scenes for Fab Show that you can cut away to. So he came out, and I shot a couple of things, and a guy that we were gonna do this barbershop scene about haircuts was supposed to come sit in the chair, and he didn't show up. So Peter was like, come on, I gotta, I'm wasting time. So he said, what are you guys gonna do? So I jumped in a chair and I did it. He took the tape, went back to MTV, and he called me up and said, you gotta come in, I gotta talk to you. I said, what? He said, we're thinking about running the show into a daily show from Monday to Friday, and would you be interested in hosting?
Yeah.
And I said, me?
Yeah.
MTV? Seriously? I said, I don't even look like MTV. I'm a young, big, fat black man from Long Island.
Yeah, it was mostly all white videos and everything on MTV.
But they had a couple of hosts. They had J.J. Jackson, and they had Downtown Julie Brown. But I felt I didn't fit the MTV mold. So then he introduced me to his production assistant at the time, Ted Demi. He brought me to his office. I did an audition with him. Ted said, hey, I love it. I know who you are. And when I walked out the door and I'm looking, you see this guy sitting in a chair across from me, this tall, skinny black guy with his hair done a little way, and he had blonde in it. And I'm going, oh boy, here we go. Another false employment opportunity.
Yeah. But obviously it wasn't false.
But it was Ted's forethought to put us together. We did an audition together, and we were sitting in his office, and we saw these dreadlock wigs, and we put them on, and we did this Jamaican improv that he ran up and took the tape and went down the hallway, and that's how it all got started.
Yeah, and then the rest is history, as they say.
A lot of great history in there.
Yeah.
And we were never considered VJs on MTV. We were always considered co-hosts, hosting the show. And we actually programmed the show. I was the first co-host to actually bring live music on the show while we were doing our segments, because before that it was MTV Music TV channel, and they never played music during the segments.
All it was.
So I had the forethought with that with Ted, and Ted said, "Why do you want to do that?" I said, "Because it'll make it lively. Trust me." And that was a lot of things that we used that inspired us to be a part of doing this thing called Yo MTV Raps today. Today was the daily version, and Yo MTV Raps was the weekend version with Fab.
Okay. And fast forward, I know that you and Chuck D from Public Enemy, obviously.
Yes.
You're such a name dropper.
I didn't.
You guys went to university together, and you now have a publishing company together.
Yes, we do. Chuck and I went to Adelphi University. We met at a radio station called WBAU 90.3 FM with Mr. William Bill Stephanie, and he was in a group called Spectrum City. I had a group called The Concept at the time. And I went to Mr. Bill's show and learned how to take dedications and answer the phones and hustle around, do everything. And they said, "Yo, man, you need to train and become an engineer, and then you need to become an online personality, you know, Dre." And that's how it all got started.
Yeah.
But we started in our black music class with the late, great Dr. Andre Strobert, where we all met together in that class. And we bonded a friendship that's lasted all these years.
Yeah, and now you've actually just completed a book, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I got to blame, Chuck likes to blame me for being the person who actually took Public Enemy to Def Jam and got them signed, and that's the truth. I did do that because it came from our station, WBAU, but I'm blaming him for the book. So I went to him at a lecture he was doing and a Q&A, and he shouts from the stage, "The reason I'm doing this is that man over there." I said, "That man, Dr. Dre, I blame him for all of this." I was like, "What?" He said, "Dre, you know what? You walk around, you tell all these great stories about what happened. You need to put it in a book." So we sat down and we had a dinner and we talked about it. And I said, "Okay, let's do this book." And I sat with a writer and we started going over it. And I said, "You know what? Let's not make this book like it's a War and Peace epic. Let's try to, slender it down." Yeah. And we decided to go with Dr. Dre 1989 to 1995, which covers the Yo MTV Rap spectrum.
Dr. Dre episodes, 1985 to 89 to 1995, part 2.
Part
Is that what
2.
You told us?
Because I said, there's so much to tell. I had to cut it, and we had to cut pieces out because we didn't want you to sit there, Sandra, for 3 to 6 days going, "Is he ever going to get to the point?"
Yeah, but there's a lot of fans that they want to know all the details, all the backstory. We're running out of time, so I know that you did want to talk about a personal struggle that you've had the last few years with diabetes.
Yes, and type 2 diabetes.
Type 2.
I'm a type 2 diabetic who's lost his vision. I have a foundation called the Dr. Dre VIC, which is called the Visually Impaired Can Foundation. And basically, I've been going through a whole different resurgence of my life. It's like I stopped at one point and now I'm doing this. And through the blessings of the late, great Dick Gregory and some people he's known, I've worked through different other holistic doctors out there to change what goes in my body and actually work with trying to do the best we can treat diabetes. So I'm working with trying to put together an event to actually help bring a lot of men into the fold, where we're going to do what do you call that? Test your blood sugar, do your blood pressure, and do this whole thing and have an event. Have some great people, some people performing.
You're just trying to remind people and impress upon them to take your health seriously.
It's so important because without your health, you're not wealthy.
Now your vision, I understand that you're not totally blind.
I have what they call. I had my retinas reattached, so I didn't really go blind just from the diabetes, but in the reattachment, I have what you call scar tissue behind my eyes. So when that kind of fluctuates, my vision comes back. So sometimes I'm just sitting down and people say, "Are you really watching TV?" And I'm really not. I can just all of a sudden everything comes into play. And they're like, I can see everything. It's like, really? How'd that go? And then it fades out, then it comes back. But I'm learning, honestly, better it's what you put in your mouth to help deal with, treat the situation. But I've learned to say, you know what? I believe in a great higher spirit, and he speaks to me all the time. And when I was at what I call my death's door, and I said, "Okay, I'm ready to come with you." He said, "I didn't ask you to come with me. Not yet. You got too much to do. Get out there. I'm going to put you to work." So he's out here putting me to work, and I'm building the case, and I'm actually learning so much from so many different people. And I invite people to come check me out on LinkedIn, on Dr. Dre VIC. If you have information and you want to share to be a part of it.
And your Instagram.
And my Instagram is Dr. Dre 39, Instagram, or Lord of Media. You can go to either one. And the thing is, we're looking to build a massive army of folks to help try to cure a lot, not just cure, but better treat what's being done as far as with these things, because diabetes type 2 is treatable, that you can reverse the effects of it.
But you really got to stay on top of your health.
You got to stay on top. And first thing I want to say is drink water.
Yeah,
drink
simple.
Water. That's the first big start. Right. And as Dick spoke to me before he passed away, he said, Dr. Dre, I want you to start drinking okra water. But I have to come back and tell you more about that when the book comes out, and I can go through that, because that's the second book I'm doing, because people are asking me, well, you need to write a book about that, because I watch the things you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon, and thank you for what you did to shine that bright spotlight and helping hip hop really become what it was, what it is.
I was the biggest fan. I grew up being a fan, and then I became a part of it. And when people come to me and say, you know, you're an icon, you're a legend, you're this, that, about it, I says, no, I want to thank you, because we couldn't get away doing what we did if you didn't pay attention and watch us. Thank you for that blessing.
All right. When we come back, Harlem Stage's fall lineup, including its first ever documentary film festival. Stay with us.